Welcome to another episode of Subconscious Realms. I'm your host, General Lee. And for tonight, we welcome back one of our most fascinating returning guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author and the host and creator of Demonosophy and Beyond, Zero. Now then, Zero, mate.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, guys.
So, mate, thank you for joining us yet again. It's a true honour to be speaking with you. You
My,
are
always a pleasure.
fascinating, mate. And that last episode, the Angelic Pantheon Part 1, mate, that was just brilliant. And I've been looking forward to Part 2, waiting to hear more. It's really fascinating madness. I love it all, mate.
Madness is correct.
Yes.
The
So,
more I research, the more I find out. It's weird the things that you find out, but true.
yeah, for sure, mate. Do you know what? I am intrigued. You sent me a message a couple of days ago about, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I'm presuming it are a race or some entities of some sort. Is it Palladians?
Mm-hmm.
What? Could you explain what these are, please, mate?
Okay, so a lot of people talk about starseeds, and
Fantastic.
they have different races, and the different races have their different, I guess, personalities and ways they interact with us. Um, and there are two that I know that I have seen that fit the profile of the angels that I've interacted with. And one would be the Pleiadians, which are usually like tall and blonde. And the second would be the Anunnaki, which are dark skinned.
Okay. Um, Now, I've heard of the Anunnaki. They're one of the possibly one of the most talked about race of entities. But the Palladians, um, would would they be similar to like the Nordics type of entity?
I believe so. The Nordic
Okay.
tall and blonde, yeah. Um, when I come upon these beings, um, mostly in non corporeal form. I don't know if I've seen one like out on the street or anything like that, but
Yeah.
when I started working with the Watchers, there was this one angel called Armoros. Armoros,
Amaro.
yeah, Armoros
Amaro.
was the one that I call him the Angel of Unity, and he was very friendly. He's extremely friendly, but he's blonde and he's tall.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he looks like a normal person.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the Pleiadians are very friendly. They can be very friendly. So it makes a lot of sense. And then I've also seen other angels as blonde hair and
Yeah.
usually tall.
Do they? When you had the interactions with them, Zero, did you have to like follow a specific procedure, or would it be like similar, say, for example, like when you've worked with certain um, other entities? Would it be like a similar process?
Um, there was a process, and for each one, it differed. I first started with using electromagnetism. You know, the interesting thing is I started with I took CERN as an example. If you're
CERN.
Yes, if you're
Oh, nice,
familiar with
mate.
CERN, CERN is the thing in the north. I think it's Swiss, or it it covers like 2 countries, like borders, where they have the big electromagnets and they're making God particle and supposedly opening up portals and all that thing.
They call
Well,
the Hadron Collider.
yeah, the Hadron Collider. Um, and so I was wondering, like, if there was actually a smaller version of that, because if you put energy into the atmosphere, it gives like spirits more energy in order to manifest. So what I did was I actually found something on eBay
What is that?
that's basically a smaller version. Now, it's not going to be as efficient
Wow.
because there's no vacuum for it to work in, but here you have 2 electromagnetic coils, and when you turn it on, you have this ball that goes around, and it puts off
Yeah.
an electromagnetic field. Now, what this does is this supercharges your manifestation.
Right.
And it's funny because it's described as a toy, and you can get this for $40 in China. But if you know what you're doing, it can supercharge your magic.
Wow. That is that's crazy. You'd be able to get that, and it's like passed as a toy.
Yeah. So when I first started working with angels, I was using that a lot. Also the gematria, which is basically the Jewish numerology.
Yeah.
I was using that in order to find different correspondences with the angels that I would be contacting, such as with the gematria, you can figure out what what planetary energy to use with them, what incense, what color, um, certain dates that they're tied to, like what I'm losing words. Like Gemini, Capricorn, what sign they are.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so you can use those correspondences to create a kind of ritual in order to tap into their energies. And so I was doing that. So I
Interesting.
progressed. So it just got to the point where I can kind of just call upon them and they'll come, or do minimum. It's like the more you work with certain frequencies and certain energies, the less you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm. What was I saying about it? With regards to that little mini CERN device, that's crazy. You can get something like that to help you though, like increase your potency of your magic.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of people don't understand that science and magic they're tied together. You know, um, magic was the foundation for science, but our society has turned so much to science that they forgot the roots. And a lot of people have been taught that magic either is a whole bunch of baloney or you shouldn't touch it, but they don't know that all
Yeah.
of it's connected.
Crazy, mate. Crazy. From your own experience, has it assisted you in progressing your powers, so to speak?
Has, I mean, can you repeat that? Like, I
Yeah,
didn't
has
hear.
it, like in your experience, has it increased the strength of your magic by using this mini CERN device?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, oh, I also forgot to mention I was using binaural beats as well. So,
Binaural beats.
hmm a lot of angels they work through sound, light, electricity.
Yeah.
So these things can be utilized in order to increase your ability to contact them.
Oh, that's interesting, that mate.
And it has. That's it. So
You know,
go ahead.
for you to power it up, how does it power up? Is it like mains connected, for example, or do you use like batteries for it?
No, I plug it in.
All right, okay.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, so there's a constant electric current, and then I've tested it. It puts off an electromagnetic field. Um, and as long as you're within that field, it kind of gives you a supercharge. You know, we all have our own magnetic fields and electromagnetic fields. So that kind of becomes a part of it. And
Yeah,
it kind of helps us to become an antenna to receive a stronger antenna in
yeah.
order to receive certain frequencies that we are reaching out to.
It really is. It's something you don't you see like magic sets and stuff like that as like the equivalent of like a game of Monopoly or something like that for a kid, but nothing to this extent. It's crazy. But if it works, Zero, then you know, well, why not?
Why not? If I can use science to do something cool like that, why not?
Yeah. So when you've had interactions with these Palladians, did they have a certain message or anything?
Uh, Not really. It depends on like what angel you're talking to. You know,
Yeah,
like with Armros was just a lot of the angels are silent. Um, like they don't speak, but somehow they get communication across. And with the case of Armros, it was like we were having a conversation, but no sound was coming out because I was talking back to him, and I don't
yeah,
really know that what we were saying, but like we seemed very animated, and he was very friendly, very inclusive. Um, he taught me the process of harmonization, and harmonization is where you basically get on the frequency of the tribe of angels that you make the harmonization pact with. Harmonization includes becoming um, psychically aligned with them, empathetically aligned with them, and
yeah.
then
Is that a bit
also,
like
huh?
telepathy, like telepathically
Yes,
connected in that way? Right. Okay.
yes, telepathically, and then also your wills are aligned. So it's like whatever you want is what they want, and vice versa. And
Yeah.
also, you cannot work against them because of this. It's basically like a pact where like you guys cannot fight whatsoever.
Right.
Um, and it does change the way that you think about yourself. You start to lose your ego because there have been times when I've reconnected with them because they have a reattunement spell as well. When the harmonization starts to wear off, and after a reattunement spell or a harmonization, you forget to say I. You do not refer to yourself as I. You start saying us, we. And it's like you have to mentally force yourself to say I when you're talking to people
Yeah.
in a regular conversation. Um, so it's that strong, and it's like with a harmonization, um, it can be overwhelming because some of the angels who have come down here, to this frequency, to this density, it's hard for them. It's very stressful for them, and you feel that stress. And angels, like a lot of people think that angels are just like robots and stuff. No, no. They do come off as very robotic because they're very logical.
Right.
And sometimes the way they process information can seem very computer-like, but they do have feelings. And a lot of this darkness that's going on kind of makes them crazy, you know. The lack of light, especially during like winter, that also gets to them as well. And it kind of changes the way that they think and interferes with whatever mission they're doing. Or it just changes the way that they approach it. But it's usually not in a good way.
Right. And do you know, like how you said then, like this sort of thing affects them. Was like a demonic entity at Urkel, would they have like the opposite effect? Like, would they thrive in the conditions? What I'm saying is, what the conditions, what the angels don't like, would the demonic entities thrive in that same?
I would say that it more depends upon the individual.
Right.
Because okay, so there have been a lot of angels that are, you know, photosensitive in a way where they're energized in the light, but there are also a lot of angels that have adapted to the darkness and done it very well with it. You know, for example, Azazel is one of those who feels to me like a perfect balance between light and darkness. You know, I've never really felt any kind of insanity coming from him, or any pain for that matter. With demons seem to be more adapted to the darkness, but there are demons that can, you know, don't mind the light or anything like that. They've adapted to kind of go towards both sides. You know, they can operate on both sides.
Is Azazel, was he one of the leaders of the Watchers?
Yes. The main leaders that are mentioned are Shemyaza and Azazel is described as the scapegoat. And he is the one that's based on the ritual where they send the goat out into the desert and for your sins and yada yada. And he was known as one of the Watchers that taught warfare.
And is it weapons as well? Warfare and weapons.
Correct.
You know what I wanted to ask you as well, Zero, is like you hear like the name Azazel mentioned quite a lot as like one of the leaders of the Watchers, but you don't hear a lot of Shemyaza.
Well, Shemyaza, depending upon what story you read, supposedly repented. Shemyaza is also very, we'll call him shy.
Shy.
Yes, like when I first was interested in Watchers, Shemyaza was the first one that I reached out to, and I was not able to contact him. It was only after like multiple tries that I came in contact with Shemyaza, and Shemyaza finally talked to me.
Was it a lot different from contacting the other angels?
Yeah, I mean they all have their different personalities. They all have their different ways of manifesting, and I was expecting to get a male figure, and Shemyaza came as female, actually.
Female.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
It is because they portray the Watchers as being male and coming in, being interested in the daughters of man. But at least two of the chiefs of the Watchers have appeared to me as female.
That's very interesting. Would like Shemiaza, would that be similar to like a Lilith entity, or is that something completely different?
No, Lilith is completely different. Shemyaza is um Shemyaza is kind of humble. And comes off as kind of like quiet, but I don't remember too much about the encounter, and that's how kind of shy Shemyaza is,
Yeah.
where like it doesn't really stick too much in my mind, and I've only come upon her once and talked to her once. Like I wrote it down, but like as with different angels, like Armoros stuck with me, Shizakio stuck with
Yeah.
me, Azazel, like the encounter stuck with me where I can just recall it. But Shemyaza is one of those where it's just like minor details, but not like a whole thing. Yeah.
Do you think that's why maybe it's not a name what's mentioned as much as Azazel because it's not significant? I don't mean that not a significant angel. I mean the actual interaction what people have had.
I believe that may be the case. I also think that, well, the angels are very good at manipulating the mind. And so they're very good at erasing things. And I think
Erasing
that,
things.
yes, like a lot of people don't understand, like they can change people's code. They can do it for good or they can do it for ill.
Yeah.
They're reprogrammers.
Do you know what it sounds like, Hero? It sounds like is it called a neuralizer, like of Men in Black when they flash that torch? It's like it sounds like that.
Well, you know what? It would make sense if they got it from aliens, and angels are aliens. The angel tech.
Hey mate, good shout. I love that.
So, and when you connect with these angels, they don't deny any of this. Like they don't care. Um, they're very, when it comes to angels, they're the ones that kind of have this, I guess, like this black or white look at things. Like the ones that have interacted with humans for a long time, they've changed a little bit. So they're a little bit more understanding. But for the most part, they're just about their mission and getting it done. And they do whatever is necessary. So, yeah, angels are very good at manipulating the functions of human beings as well as implanting thoughts, taking thoughts away, changing the code of people, changing the DNA of people. Uh, it's scary actually because a lot of people think that their free will cannot be um, tread upon, but there are a lot of loopholes in that, and I really don't think that that's the case in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. It's funny because a lot of people who have had experiences with both demons and angels have said that angels are a lot scarier than demons.
That is interesting. I mean, like the artist impressions of angels from what you see, like, well, when you look generally online, they don't come across as having like foreheads and etc. etc. All the eyes like the Uthanium and all that malarkey. They don't come across that at all. I think when they're described in like in such a horrific way, I think it makes it even more intriguing.
Yeah. The human babies, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, that's what you seem like with the bow and arrow, like Cupid.
Yeah. Or, like you have a lot of angels. What people don't understand is the portrayal with the eyes, like it talks about in the Bible. That's true. I've seen angels with a lot of wings and a lot of eyeballs and strange configurations.
Yeah,
But I've also seen humanoid angels, and um, a majority of those angels are soldiers. They're not huggy, cuddly, nurturing. Like you have
yeah,
few females who are that way, but even one angel that was of nurturing that I came upon, she was of tough nurturing, like where if you genuinely needed help and needed nurturing, then
yeah.
she had kind of soft appearance, and she was very comforting. But if you were the type that likes to play the victim and wasn't genuine about like your need for being nurtured,
Yeah,
then her method of nurturing would be like a hard kind where um it would basically lead to you being punished.
right.
And that was her form of nurturing for those kinds of people. Um,
That's like so like in the angel's own way, sort of like a lesson.
yeah, and
It's
it's the reason why they're a little bit scarier than demons, or a lot, depending upon the person, is they can be very cold and calculating about what they do.
right.
And they're very, when an angel is known for something, that's because they've practiced at it. They've perfected it. They're
They're
all
like
about
experts at it.
yes, they're all about
Yeah,
efficiency. In that way, they are like computers, where they're like mechanical with it, and they're so that's one thing that makes them very scary about what they do.
yeah. Can you imagine, mate?
I
So
don't have
like they've
I
got
don't
like
have to imagine.
thousands and thousands of years of practice. They're gonna be the elite of the elite, aren't they? At what they do.
Yep, they're the pros.
Do you, out of like the angel or the demonic side of things, which to use the most challenging to work with, or does it depend on which angel or which demonic entity it's referring to?
It depends.
Yeah,
Because like demonic, it's there's a lot of shades of gray because what we think we know of angels is not true. We think that angels are the good guys, demons are the bad guys. But in my studies of the book of Enoch, it talks about how the luminaries have their set paths and are made to both rise and fall. Therefore, it's my understanding that these angels are not really rebellious. They're doing what they're supposed to do,
yeah,
and they're they're all playing both sides, basically.
yeah. It's like how a lot of things seem to be there's a huge misconception. Right, saying there's no light without dark. Um,
Exactly.
this
You
is
know,
what it'll always be like, I guess.
and I've also had demons tell me, they've been to heaven, they've talked to different angels, they mix, they're all related. Um, and so it's just like it isn't necessarily about dark or light. It's about their different personalities.
Right.
Um, and whether your personality clashes with them or how intense they are. For example, um, dealing with Samael. Samael he's a great guy. He is, but very intense. And
Yeah.
intense in a way where when you absorb some of his energies and you talk to him and he teaches you to do certain things, it's like you have a hair trigger that can be activated when it comes to fighting. Like anything can like set you off, and you're ready. You're ready for a fight at all times. That's the energy that Samael comes off with, and rightly so. Um, with other angels, it's not so much like that. Even though Azazel is a soldier, he comes off as more like a fatherly figure.
Yeah.
Um, then you have some angels, like some female angels, which are very kind and caring and energizing, so to speak. Um, and for me, I kind of dodged the light angels, so I know more about the dark ones. And you have that range amongst the dark ones. But then, I have contacted like Michael, and I've been in contact with him. And even though I don't honestly know what's up with him, in the sense that I don't feel too buddy buddy with him, but at the same time, it's like I don't have any beef with him. Um, our contact was very, very it was very loving. It's like knowing him for forever
Yeah.
and going on the perfect fishing trip and having the perfect fishing buddy. That's what it felt like. Um, but then you also have different angels that are part of hive minds, and
Hive
hive
mind.
minds, yes, and hive
Very
minds
interesting.
are they're kind of creepy.
I can imagine,
Oh,
mate.
when I went to heaven, when I was talking with Michael, he hooked me up to a hive mind, and in these hive minds, you hear like this constant droning, and it's like an electric kind of buzzing along with the humming. It's very weird. It's very
Oh,
hard to
like
describe.
specific, like a frequency type.
Yeah,
Ah,
and when I was hooked up to the hive mind, I thought I was going to go insane because at first it felt overwhelming, but then it's like oddly comforting. And the hive that I was put into at that time was made of all these angels that looked like they were cemented in the walls. Like you had this wall, and then you could just see different faces coming out of the wall, and they were stuck.
shoot, man. That sounds crazy. That.
Yeah.
Do you know what it sounds like? Do you remember Return of the Jedi when they freeze Han Solo and he's like,
Yeah, and the carbonite.
it's yes,
It was similar to that, except their faces were like purple or something. It was ultra colorful, and then once I removed myself from that because I'm like I don't really want to be a part of this. Uh, uh,
yeah,
they also have, I guess, like the angels that are grouped together because it was like I saw this sky, and it was different shades of like cotton candy. You know, like how cotton candy comes in blue
Yeah,
and
like a
yeah,
pinkish, purplish type, that kind. Yeah,
yeah. The sky was like that, and I could see like these. I could only describe them as angels. They had like these diamond faces, and the diamond around their face was kind of like a grayish blue. Um, and then in the middle, where you could see their face was purple, but they didn't have eyes. You could just see like a nose and a mouth. And they were like floating in groups of three. And I didn't talk to any of them. I didn't hook up with any of them, but like um, hook up to any of them. Let me correct myself. But like they were just floating around, and they were just kind of connected. And that was kind of beautiful and interesting, but this kind of hive mind thing at the same time disturbs me. Like I understand the uses for it,
yeah,
but there's ways of misusing. It's like everything has a pro and a con, and
yeah,
everything can be either used for good or used for ill.
yes. It's true that, mate.
But when it comes to the angelic nature, there are angels that are used to that hive mind. If
Yeah,
you remove them from that hive, then they kind of have a problem with identification. Um, it's like even with the harmonization process, when that starts to wear off, and I haven't been hearing the angels that I'm connected with for a while, you get kind of lonely. You know, um, you adapt to that situation.
yeah. Just it's just becoming more and more fascinating as you explain it in depth. Zero, it's it really is fascinating. Zero, we know with the Palladians are, you would say that they were more leaning towards a light kind of entity. And you mentioned the Anunnaki being like a darker. Would you be able to go a little bit more into detail on the Anunnaki, please?
Sure, the Anunnaki
Sure.
are uh, basically what the angels that a lot of biblical lore is based on. When it comes to the flood, uh, they were Sumerian, I think.
Sumerian.
Was the first record that I know of. If you For anybody who really wants to know about the Anunnaki and contact them, there is a good book by Samuel David. It's called Rod and Ring. Um, and it talks about
What's the
the
book
lore.
called again, mate? What's that
Rod,
book called? Rod?
Rod and Ring. And as you can see, it has the rod as well as the ring on front.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the lore of the Anunnaki talks about how they came in these ships. They were looking for gold. Their planet where they came from was destroyed by war as well as other things. And it talks about how they also populated other planets. And even now, if you look up the right videos, they talk about how there are aliens on like Saturn, um, how there are bases on the moon, and
Yes.
how other planets are occupied. Um, and that lore is in line with what's kind of going on. It can't be ignored. However, what they don't usually talk about is that the Anunnaki are the dark skinned people. Um,
That's
they've suppressed that, and I've had a lot of angels come to me as black people or dark skinned people. Like it's not black, but it's melanated. Let's say melanated. Shemyaza came to me as a dark-skinned woman. Samael has appeared to me as a dark-skinned male. Um, I've had uh, Valak, who is considered as a goetic demon, but
Valak.
yes, but also as a he's considered a goetic demon, but some of those are considered fallen angels. I don't really consider him fallen. I just see he has a different way of thinking. Dark skinned person. Um, that's basically all I can think of right now that have
Yeah,
come
mate, no
in
problem.
that form, because they come in different ways, like in when they're in non corporeal form. But like I've seen angels here in this world. There are both angels and demons in human bodies, walking around, living human lives.
But and I'm presuming that they are like shapeshifted into a human form. Would that be correct?
No, not shapeshifted. Like they're born here. They grew up. They had to awaken.
Right.
Um, and then they awakened to who they were. They came into their power. They came into the knowledge that they had. Um, and then they have certain duties that they have here on Earth.
Yeah. Are you aware of, or have you seen many of them? Zero.
Not many. It's just kind of like um, it's like okay, so I've put out the call for certain angels, and it's like they love to manifest through the internet because it's easier for them to work through computers for some reason. So like I've met people who, even if they didn't know they were of angelic blood, like they would just come to me to be like, I don't know why I heard your call, and like I just had to answer and just talk to you and stuff like that. So I've talked to many over the internet who are like that, but then I've also had a couple of run-ins with, physical run-ins where I talk to these beings face to face.
I I could imagine that as completely different interactions. Was it more intense, like being up personal?
Um, I think it was more comforting. Um, One, to know that they were down here and they understand uh, the plight of human beings. But it was also the interactions when it comes to like conversation are very different from a regular person on the street.
Yeah.
And it's like speaking a certain, like you're speaking plain English, but you're speaking about things that only you two understand.
Right.
Um, and it's very, in that sense, it's very intimate because it's like the rest of the world gets closed off. Like the people are still around, but they're just not a part of anything that you two are getting into. Everything just fades into the background.
Right. Right. That's that's again, mate. It's just so interesting. It's like almost sounds like like when you're reading a comic book and it's like concentrated on like just say for example me and you talking. It sounds similar to that, like very concentrated.
Yeah, yeah. Or like when a camera focuses on something and everything in the
Yeah.
background
Yeah.
blurs. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. Ah. Would you say that the Anunnaki, that kind of side of things, is um, more good or more bad, or again does it vary?
Um, I'll put it this way. They resonate more with me and they come off more as neutral, but they're rough around the edges because historically dark skinned people have been treated very poorly.
Right.
So it's like they they don't want to fight, they just want to live and they want to like help people out.
Yeah.
But because of the way a lot of dark skinned people are treated in different areas, um, throughout history, like they've been forced to fight. Um, you have a lot of people who have, dark skinned people, and I'm not saying that, like uh, lighter people can't be in these situations, but I'm just saying as a group, um, we've been put in ghettos, we've been experimented on, we've been hung, we've had a lot of violence towards us, um, especially in the United States. But in other places where if you had like European colonizers come through, they come to these countries, they find darker people, whether it's in Africa, whether it's been in the Hispanic countries, and they've suppressed the darker people. Even in the Asian countries, there's a lot of dark skinned Asians. Um, in India, you've had the colonizers come and you know uh, treat them poorly.
Yeah. I think,
So
mate.
that's going to
uh,
put them in a certain mindset, where
yeah.
they understand that they the core they want to do good, but
Yeah.
you know years and years and generations of all this shit that's been happening is they have to fight. They're on basically survival mode.
I think, mate, in my opinion, I mean, again, this is just my opinion. I think we've all suffered at some point in history,
Absolutely.
um, and that's the sad part of everything. Is you know, it's not necessary, is it, to be at war, be fighting. If we all loved each other, then I'm sure the world would be a better place. But it's just not the case, is it?
No, no. People have different agendas, different motives, and then you just have
Yes.
the people who want to step on other people. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like some people just go out to want to cause problems instead of resolving them.
And you know, one thing Samael told me, and he told me to tell, basically put the word out there. Like he said, it's not a race. Like no nobody has to get there before anybody else because everybody is meant to rise. Meant to benefit from what's out there. Um, but these people, they have a different mindset and they're going to do what they're going to do. But at the same time, they're going to get their comeuppance, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Rightly so, mate. I think. I mean, it's obviously for you to be contacting each or either or all of them. it must be for some significance. I mean, part of your growth as what you do. It must be rewarding to know that you're actually making contact.
Rewarding. It's very hard to call it rewarding. I don't know.
Right.
It's taught me a lot about myself, and it's made me very aware about the world. And so it's rewarding in that, like, both the demonic realm as well as the angelic realm have taught me a lot about myself and my makeup and how I feel and why I felt things for so long in certain ways. Both sides have helped me find more peace within myself. And in that, yes, it has been rewarding. But at the same time, I've been made aware of some pretty heavy things. And that has given me the burden of being responsible for talking about, the findings that, may be disturbing to other people.
Yeah.
And, on the, in some ways, like, I've been able to help people who have embraced spirituality and their lives have become better. But then there's also the part where people who get into this are going to go through some shit. They're going to have to fight. Like, we have the powers that be that are trying to suppress people who are awakening, but we're having more people awaken, which is encouraging. But it's also hard for me to teach people about spirituality, have them embrace it and be glad about it, but know that they also are, it puts a target on their back and they're basically going to have to fight. So it's a bittersweet deal.
Yeah. Well, mate, if it's I'm more than sure it is swaying your way, so to speak. Because if it wasn't, I don't think you'd be as what I'm trying to say is you seem to be like what's the word I'm looking for? You, I can't get the word out, mate. Sorry, it's not like you're persistent in what you do, and it's like you're saying, like angels, they've been doing it for thousands of years, so they're like experts at it. Well, you're getting to that level now where you're at. You know what you're doing, so it's not like you're hoping for the best. You actually know what you're doing. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's I get better as I know more information, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you can be like, oh, let me read this book, and then you find out all this crazy stuff, and then just go back to quote unquote normal life.
Yeah.
Either you're in or you're out.
Yeah.
And it's like, even when you toe the line and dip your foot in the water, like, it's too late. It's
Yeah.
But I really wouldn't want to go back, because it's like, whether or not I'm aware of these things are still happening. So I'd rather be aware than not. The ignorance is bliss kind of thing. Like, we've gotten to the point where ignorance is not bliss. It's, you're just trying to make an excuse for not being responsible for changing things for the right. There's that saying that the worst thing that could happen is have a good man ignore the evil that's going on. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I agree fully with that.
yeah, yeah. Fair play, mate. You know how your book Demonosophy and Beyond. I know that you've mentioned a second book. Do you think do you think that will be anytime soon? And would it have um, like details on your interactions with angels, like what we've been discussing, mate?
Man, this book keeps changing and keeps it's they want me to do so many different things. Like angels are sometimes they can put you to a lot of work. Um and like I've been taking it through so many different routes and so many different points of view and seeing so many different uh applications of angelic energies and told to go here, and then look at this, look at that. That the book keeps on evolving, keeps on changing, and it's like you think you have a good start, and then they're like, no, change the title, and then change the whole tone, and so I can't put a date on it. I want it to be over with. I want people to understand what is going on. I want people to be able to explore um, the angelic energies the way I have done so, and I might just have to just tell them to stop and be like, no, this is where I'm going.
Right. I'm sure, mate, it will all happen when it's meant to and how it's meant to. Um, so I'm looking forward to it.
And it's I'm also, it's not just their fault. I'm a perfectionist because I'm very picky about the wording and how I word like the ritual practices and
Yeah,
steps and things like that, because I want the information to be easily understood by people of all levels. I'm not one of those people that tries to use big words to appear smart and wants the occult to stay occult, and so I use all these crazy terms and stuff like that that baffle people. Like, no,
yeah,
I want people to understand what magic is. I want people to understand why magic is the way it is and what it's really practiced for.
that's brilliant, that mate. That is, it's a good like attitude as from you as a writer to have that where you're looking at it as if how you would like to see it yourself. So it's like you would like to see something you can easily understand, and that's how you come across as how you're going to write it. That's it. Just goes to show, mate. It's like YouTube channel, your explanation on whatever the episode's about. It's easily understandable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not like long-winded and dragged out, or like you're saying, like bullshit with all the big words. And it's not necessary, is it?
No, I've always hated fluff. Like, I can't stand reading any book on magic with fluff. Like, I understand, wanting to have a lot of information where you want the person to feel like they've gotten their money's worth. But at the same
Yeah,
time, it's just as bad to just have like empty content that doesn't teach you anything and doesn't get anywhere.
yeah, 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 mate. Well, Zero, yeah, another fascinating conversation, mate. You're a legend. I love that, mate. Before we wrap things up, would you like to let everybody know where they can get a hold of you, please?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok now at
TikTok.
Demonosophy. I do TikTok now. And I'm also on YouTube, Demonosophy and Beyond. So if you're interested in learning about the occult, about demons, about angels, uh, you can either find me on TikTok or YouTube mainly.
Nice one, mate. I'll attach all your links in the show notes as normal, mate. But Zero, thanks again for coming on. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, mate.
I appreciate it. Like, I always enjoy being here.
Oh, thanks, mate. Well, I will be speaking to you next week anyway. But I'm going to stop recording you now. Nice one, mate. Thank you.
All right.